Happy beautiful day, beautiful people. Today feels like a couch episode. And welcome to day 118 of posting every single day on YouTube. I feel like over the last couple of weeks, Fridays have been like a highlight episode. So let's see how today goes. I've also decided to kind of do a head wrap because today's episode feels really super special and it has a lot to do with being Kenyan, but more than that, being raised the way I was. So I hope you guys stick around for this. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. Probably really short because I'm super tired, but I'm feeling really happy. I just got off a call with my mom, and so I'm feeling really happy about that. And at the same time, I have been up since 3 in the morning. So let's see how today's episode goes. Welcome. Grab yourself a drink or a head wrap. Today in studio, I had a lot of head wraps on. Like, and someone like asked me like, how come you like can do your head wrap without looking in the mirror? Guys, I grew up in a Jewish family. I've been learning. I think after spelling my name, the second thing I learned to do was a nice head wrap. So, mm, thanks to my mama. I learned how to do a head wrap a long time ago. And yeah, I'm really, there is a lot going on. I'm really struggling to like do the head. Oh, okay. I can do it inside out. No, it's like, you see the ends? I don't like how the ends are. This is one of my beautiful head wraps. And I think I've been using it. No, I don't think I know. I've been using it as a head. I've been using it as a scarf because I don't want to take a sweater. And anytime I, taking the metro or taking a cab at 5 in the morning, the last, like it's, every cab has got like an aircon. So that's one of the things. But anyway, um, guys, I'm really struggling to show my head wrap today. No, it's just not cooperating. Okay, if you guys would love like head wrap videos, happy to do those, but just know they're not gonna be edited. Like they're gonna be like my YouTube videos and not gonna be edited at all. But yeah, just basically, this is what you guys Rapunzel. I think that you guys call them that. Okay, here we are. This scarf is so good, by the way. I had a black and a brown one and I gave the black one to my mom when I went home. And I remember how that conversation went. So yeah, I hope you guys are well. Welcome today, 118 of 118. 118. What's that, Phoebe? 118 of posting every single day. Today feels like a couch episode. I really kind of wish my phone wasn't like at, let me see, 10%. That's fine. We can get like 10 minutes of talking done, and I am loving what is going on here. Hope you guys are fine. I've been up since 3 in the morning. It is almost 3 p.m. I was on my way to bed. I was like, I think my mama's awake right now. Let me just call and say hi. And then an hour later, here we are. I always feel so joyful when I get off a call with my mom. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I really am. I remember back in uni, a friend of mine used to be like, Phoebe, you're always on a call with your mom or your dad, and like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, why? She was like, because you're always on a call every single day. I'm like, if I don't text my parents, there's like a message in the family group like, what happened? I'm the last one, y'all. So there's always like, where is the baby? Where's the baby of the family? But more than that, it's like I really like, I'm friends with my siblings. I'm friends with my parents. I'm friends with my mom. And when I like call her, it's not because something happened, not because I had a bad day. Just calling her to be like, hey, what do you do? How you doing? How you feeling? So yeah, today morning, during our SAC prep call, like right before, today's a Friday, so you guys know on Fridays I get up super early. Last week I got up at 3:30 and I was like showering during a meeting. I was off camera. No, I actually missed the first 10 minutes of the meeting because I was taking a shower and then I was off camera while doing my makeup and all that. So today I got up at 3. In fact, I got up before 3 o'clock. And I slept super early yesterday, but I'm still so sleepy. And I needed a giant mug of coffee. I hope my brother doesn't see that part. But since I quit coffee, but I needed a huge cup of mug of coffee when I was at work. And anyway, someone asked me today, one of my SAC colleagues asked me, like, why China? Why did you move to China? And I thought, well, let's make a video about that. Why did I move to China? That is where we are going to be going today. I have a really short answer for you. And I think the question you ought to ask is, why did I stay? Because it's one thing to move here. I moved here in 2016. If you've been watching any of my videos, you probably know that, I always say my name is Phoebe and I've been living in China. Okay, actually, no, I don't say that. But yeah, I've been living in China for 9 years and 10 months at this point. So this October, it's gonna be 10 years, man. 10 years of living in China, 10 years of showing up, and 10 years of building a life here. So I think the question is, why did I stay? But before we get to why I stayed, let's start with why I moved here. So I'm the last one in my family, and I was just having a conversation with my mom, and I'm like, the best thing about being a last born, you kind of get to see your siblings live their lives and pick and choose what you want to apply in your own life. Such a blessing, right? So I'm the last one, and I got the privilege really to watch my siblings make decisions. I remember I got inspired to be an aeronautical engineer by my brother because he found the word, found out about the career. I never researched it. It just sounded really fancy. So I was like, I want to study aeronautical engineering like my big brother, And so the logical choice was China. So before I came to school here, China was like opening up to like a lot of international students. Obviously, people who've been here 20 years may say something different. But since I've been here for 10 years, like back in 2015, 2016, there was like a lot of opportunities for people to move and study in China. And it was a lot more affordable, just a lot more, a little more, just a little more affordable than studying aeronautical engineering in Europe. And at the same time, it was the season. It was 4 years study aeronautical engineering at, Nanjing University of Aeronautics and Astronautics. And just to show you guys I can speak a little Chinese, Nanjing Hanghuang Hantian Dashle. So it's Nanjing University of Aeronautics and Astronautics. And so, I applied to this school, and I'm so grateful that I was raised in a way where all you had to do is just tell us what you want to study. Can you tell us why? And have you found a university that you can go study? Then we'll make the rest happen. Those are my parents. And I'm so grateful because that's how I live life. Like anything I want, how do I make it happen? Because of how I grew up. I feel like maybe you're going to need to charge the phone because this video is going to be long. Maybe not. Okay, my mind is mentally calculating how many words I can get before my phone dies, but it's fine. We can always charge it and like continue with the video if it dies, so that's fine. Don't overthink it, Phoebe. It's okay. So yeah, and China being the logical choice, obviously, I also applied to a school in the UK, a school in the US, and the first admission to get back was China. And my dad knew the university. He'd been here before. My cousin, my brother went to the same school. And so I had the honor of coming to school. But here is the caveat. As a last born, I don't think caveat is the right word. Anyway, here's the part. As a last born, I had to like sit my siblings down, sit my parents down, and have a presentation like why would I want to move to China? And at the same time, could I really sustain my life here? My mom was like, that's my baby. I'm not letting my baby go, And then I had to turn around and be like, Mama, you let all your babies go. I also would love the same chance. And the only consensus I had to make when my siblings were flying to school, at least most of them, except for my sister, actually, all of them, except for one of my sisters, like everybody, went by themselves. The consensus I had to make was I had to wait until like my dad's schedule opened up for him to bring me to school. I had to agree to that. And then it was either that or no go. And so I moved here in 2016. I think we left Kenya on the 3rd or the 4th, maybe the 5th, the 4th of October, 2016. And I remember getting to the airport, hugging my family. I was so excited to leave Kenya. Oh my gosh. No, I was not excited to leave Kenya. I was excited to move to China. I think there's a difference because saying I was excited to leave Kenya sounds like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to leave this place. No, I grew up so loved, and I don't say that in a braggadocious way. I didn't want to leave my mom. I didn't want to leave my family. No, but I wanted to study aeronautical engineering, Guys, honestly, the first time I had the word, I couldn't even pronounce it. And I remember watching CCTV and hearing the songs like "我爱你中国，我爱你中国." Guys, I thought my voice was better than it is, but it's okay. It is okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Hold on, guys. My mind is mentally calculating and trying to figure out if I have. Well, guys, my phone died like I suspected, and I think I was doing something. Yeah, I was really excited to move here, and so when I did, I remember this moment. Yeah, was 10 years ago, well, almost. And I was sitting on the plane, first time ever on a plane, by the way. And my dad was like, well, my dad was, I was gonna say shaded, but anyway, his boarding pass was like he was to sit on the window seat. It was like Ethiopian Airlines. I was to sit like next to him, and he was like, well, baby, since it's your first time, on a plane, would you like the window seat? Such a gentleman. I'm like, of course, dad. And so I'm sitting there, and it's around midnight. Our flight was at midnight, and he, maybe not. Maybe not. I'm probably mixing the first and the second trip here. Anyway, whichever time it was, I remember, he looks at me and says, if you want to get off, like, we can go right back and go home, and we'll never speak about this day again, because I really don't want us to get to China and you say, Dad, I can't do this on my own. Let's just go home. I think I'm mixing up the stories because my brain's a little tired, so maybe I'll make this video a bit shorter. And today we can talk about why I moved to China, and tomorrow we can talk about why I stayed. I think that would be a nice video. So yeah, anyway, my brain's spacing out, and my cat is right here. Let me show you guys. Seeking all the attention in the world. And she just scratched the heck out of me, man. I was petting her a little too hard, so it's kind of my fault. Anyway, he says, your life is going to change, possibly forever, if we go. But if you want to go home, find a uni here, stay in Kenya, we can do that too. And I remember I said, no, let's go. I was already feeling homesick, and the thought of not seeing my mom every day, the thought of not like being in a familiar place, gosh, it was terrifying. And right before the plane took off, when they're like, turn off your phone, the seatbelt sign, whatever, and the plane starts reversing. By the way, that's my favorite part of like the flight. Obviously, anyway, story for another day. But yeah, the time when the place moves in reverse, I probably should have a better terminology since I'm a certified masterized aeronautical engineer. But anyway, daddy was like, he held my hand when the plane was moving in reverse, and then we pivot and position on the runway. And then there is this part where right after you move in reverse and then position on the highway, on the runway, suddenly like the plane just speeds up all at once before it takes off. And then he held my hand and said, your life will never be the same. My gosh, I think I've held that moment in my heart when life got hard. And when I won and life felt good, I also remember that moment on the plane, because I feel like that was my sliding door moment. If you know the slide door theory, where you catch the plane or you catch the train and your life goes a different direction, and you miss the train, the sliding doors close right before you get there, and your life goes a whole different direction. For me, that moment, your life will never be the same. Obviously, it was a bit too late to like get off the plane, so it's not like we're gonna go get off and go anywhere. But I don't even think he remembers that. I think I've reminded him like 2 times already. It's probably just father-daughter wisdom. I'm really close with my dad. I feel like I say that with my entire family. It's a blessing. But in that moment where my dad said, your life will never be the same again, I don't know, something shifted in me. And anyway, fast forward, we fly to Addis, and of course, we then, actually, I don't even remember much. Like, I remember we got to Addis, like, I remember leaving Kenya, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and I remember getting to China. I don't remember the Addis as much. Like, I don't remember. I usually have a really good memory, but I remember my second trip to Kenya, like my first summer heading home after a year here and flying back. I remember that a lot more vividly than I remember like the layover in Addis Ababa. But anyway, we fly to China, get here at 3 p.m. the next day, very tired. We arrive in Shanghai. I remember the train ride. I think for the longest time, I kept my fast G train receipt, my ticket. And I think I even kept my airline ticket for years, man. I think I probably threw that stuff away when I was moving from my first apartment to my second, or maybe when I was moving from Nanjing and moving to Guangzhou. I don't know. But I moved here for school. But the reason I stayed was the mere possibility of maybe building a life here. Stay with me, okay? I know we went from 2016 and now we're in 2026. So you're like, hey, you lost me, Phoebe. What's going on? So obviously, moving to China was kind of like the first time I moved here. It's, when people ask me, like, would you move elsewhere? Like, would you compare China to Europe? I'm like, I've never lived in Europe, so I really can't. But I do, like, I've met a lot of people from, especially all around the world here. China is like the hub of like entrepreneurs, teachers, coaches, people who just like leave their country because like I want to move to China and see what it's like. And I've met a lot of people, and of course I now have a little bit of a perspective, through other people about living in Europe, living in the UK, living in Canada, living in the US. But again, a perspective from someone else, not mine. So I can't really compare, like, is China better than Europe, China better than, I can compare China to Kenya, but I don't think it's a fair comparison because I lived in Kenya with my family, never lived in Kenya alone, never, like, I went to high school there, 18 years in Kenya, but I think I was mostly present for like the last years in high school and primary school. I don't remember like 5 years old. Like, I don't know. Like, as a kid, obviously my memories are like entangled with my siblings and life was good. We played a lot in the rain. And every time I remind my brothers of a story that happened when we were kids, they always say I'm lying because they have either they know and they are just playing with me or they forgot about it. But anyway, story for another day. So moving here, I think it was the first time in my life where I realized you are the five people, like the average of the five people in your circle. Because if your friends are crappy, you kind of become a crappy person. If you end up dating the wrong person, the toxic person, then your life kind of goes that direction. And I like, because I grew up surrounded by my family. I think I shared earlier, as a last born, really. So it's kind of, you grow up surrounded by people and then you move away for the first time. And it wasn't like, I don't know. A friend of mine says it's so courageous for me to like move here at 18. I think that was like a big deal. I saw my siblings do it. So I was like, I'm next. Like, it wasn't like such a big deal. Obviously, now I understand how much of a privilege it was to even be able to do that, and to also have parents who were willing to, like, I'm willing to let you go so you can grow your wings and learn how to fly, but if you ever need to fly back home, I'm always here for you. I understand how much of a blessing that is, obviously, the older I get. But in that moment, it wasn't like, and then for the first time I'm alone at 18, and the food, ooh, the food. I think I ate cola, like I ate bread and cola for like the first month. I remember by like January, I was like, I had put on so much weight, especially on my face. And I remember calling my sister and being like, what kind of exercises do I do for my face? Because I'm like really, really, I've put on a lot of weight on my face. And obviously I was 18, but it's very interesting when I look back at that. And I thought, like, I didn't realize the tiny decisions really impact my life on such a grand scale, you know, like every relationship, every friendship, every class I wanted to miss but didn't miss and showed up instead. And I grew up in Kenya, but I grew up in China, like I kind of raised myself here, 18 to 28 now. In so many ways, that question today kind of hit me, why did I move to China? And the simple answer is for school, and I got it. I did it, I got my undergrad, I got my master's. I made my parents proud. But I think the bigger question is, why did I stay? Because I remember during orientation in 2016, the vice dean was like, like look around you. And it reminds me of this episode in Grey's Anatomy and Quantico as well, if you've watched that. The first episode in Grey's Anatomy where like all these people walk in, Meredith, Christina, the entire class, Easy, and they're like, look at the people next to you. These are gonna be your classmates for the next, I don't know, and one of you is gonna drop out, one of you is gonna quit, one of you is gonna all of these things. And I hadn't watched Grace then. I had watched Quantico then, but I think I can now clearly look back and like it was kind of that moment. He didn't say it that way, but that's how it felt like for me. And again, if you haven't watched Grey's Anatomy and maybe you've watched Quantico, it was like the orientation of these cops or this FBI, and they're being told like, look beside you, look around you. These are your competition. They're gonna be your best friends, your worst enemies, and they're gonna challenge you. And in I think Quantico is like 9 months or however long you guys are going for that training. You guys are starting today. Day one, a lot of people, everyone is excited, but not everyone is gonna make it to the finish line. Half of you are gonna quit before then. Some of you are gonna end up in jail. Some of you are gonna end up getting deported. All of these things. Kind of, if I could reframe it now with my mind today, obviously at that time, it wasn't that deep. Okay, I know it was deep. Life has always felt very deep to me. Life has always been, yeah, really deep for me and to me. It felt deep, but I didn't have the words for it. Now I have the words for it because it's a lived experience. And it was basically, you're going to be here for the next 4 years. And while you're here away from your country, I know you guys feel homesick. Maybe there are things you do in your country that are not allowed here. We, as your teachers, are responsible for you. If you need anything, you can come to us. Look around you. These are going to be your roommates, your classmates, your best friends, and maybe the people you end up doing life with. Maybe they're going to be at your wedding. Maybe they're going to be godparents to your kids. This is your new family. Something along those lines. And he said, all of you who are here today, I do hope you make it to the end of your study period. However, I know not all of you are going to make it. And that was true. Year by year, the class got smaller. And by the way, orientation was like so big. It was like, I, I was an aeronautical engineering major. There was mechanical engineering, electrical, software, and business. So it was like all these five majors, and we were like in a hall, and we still had like orientation as a course. Man, China, orientation is a course, man. We had the big orientation, and then it was like orientation week where the facilities are. I missed the first few days of orientation because I came late. Came in October instead of September because my dad was busy. Anyway, yeah, it was like all of like the things you used to look forward to were like the lessons that were taught like across all majors. I think introduction to China was taught to everybody. Introduction to, I don't remember the courses in first year. It was 9 years ago, man, 10 years ago. But yeah, or like introduction to China would be in this same big orientation hall, and like people would like be, I'd always see at the back when it was like all the majors, all the classes, and some of these exams like introduction to China was open book, and so anyway, I just had like a really nice memory. I hadn't thought about that in years, and yeah, true to what he said. By the time we graduated, I think, gosh, I think like 12 girls graduated in engineering. But it was like a lot of us. Aeronautical engineering, I think we were like 120 students. Mechanical was like 80 students, maybe more. But I think only a fraction of us actually graduated in 2020. And obviously it was during COVID, so some people, I don't know, but it was a very small class that graduated during COVID. Some of them were virtual, some of us were still here. But year by year, life just got serious and harder. And obviously, we can go deeper into like, machine design. That was one of the hardest courses I have ever taken in my life. It was the hardest courses I have ever taken in my life. And the fact that gosh, looking back, honestly, I'm sitting here and looking at my life and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. And, I think now since we've kind of walked through that, and I think I've told you guys I said modeling in 2017, end of 2017, I've kind of shared how I got started with modeling. Today really needed to be a couch episode, girl. I'm in my feelings, I'm in my mind, in my emotions. Wow. So fast forward, I think it was around 2019, and everybody always said, I cannot wait to graduate and go back home. And I think because I had started modeling and seeing more of China, I didn't think of myself as just a student. So FYI, you know how when you go to school, like in the States, never, I didn't study in the States, so I have no idea, but I assume, or from what I hear, it's like you can work and study at the same time. In China, you cannot. If you're here for school, you're here for school. But because I did a lot of pageants in my undergrad and a lot of modeling, some of it was free. I worked a lot for free, but I got to travel a lot for free as well. I got to see more than Nanjing. I got to see life on a grander scheme, and I got to have a lot more fun, which wasn't just being like, which wasn't just tied to being a student. And because my identity was getting built in all these other areas, I started wondering and questioning, could there be more out there? Like, could there be a life for me here? Now I can articulate it better because I'm way over that period. But at the time I didn't. And everybody just wanted to graduate and go home. And others wanted to graduate and go get a master's in Europe. And I wanted to get a master's in the UK. You know, I don't know if I've ever, no, I've never shared that on YouTube before. And I don't know, someone said to me in 2020, and I remember like at that time, anyway, guys, I'm jumping back and forth. This is not a chronological story. This is how my brain works. And also when I'm exhausted, it's 10 times worse. I'll talk about 10 things at the same time. If it's your first time here, I apologize. Maybe a little bit, but yes, at least what you're getting is real and authentic. So that's fine. Grab your beverage of choice. Mm. Maybe that is why people edit videos, so they can make a lot more sense. Anywho, okay. Yeah, so in 2020, I think right before COVID, because COVID broke out at the end of fourth year, first semester, and we were getting ready to do our thesis in the second semester and then graduate in June. And I don't know, I was wondering, what am I going to do after this? Like, where do I go after here? And everybody was just talking about, oh, I'm going to go to this place. And I remember thinking, maybe it's true that the grass is greener where you water it. And any other place would be exactly like here if I put in the effort and all that. And so right now, Trixie, and so in that moment, I think the question for me was, maybe could life be better if I like tried to build it here, and then COVID happened, and then I was stuck in China. Guys, I graduated online with my parents on Zoom because the country was locked down. We were locked down here. For some people, I think a friend of mine at the time, she like got to the airport like in January or February. She got to the airport, and just when they were about to like check in and get on the plane, they were like, the borders in your country just closed down, so you really cannot like leave China. If you go, you can't go into your country even though you're a citizen of the country, because and especially flights from China cannot be allowed. And so she came back, and then we both stayed. We got, we called it stuck. But, and obviously, I think I've shared this before. Obviously, COVID had its own repercussions, really heartbreaking. And in a lot of ways, I would say it was a gift wrapped in sandpaper in terms of time, the gift of time to just stop and be like, okay, what next? Now I came, I saw, I got the degree. But I'm in a country where I don't know if I'll ever see my family. I don't know if I'll ever leave. And now I'm here. So I applied for a master's and I got a Chinese government scholarship. So I thought, okay. I think I've shared that on my graduation day, I hadn't slept the night before. So after our graduation ceremony, I had a photo shoot. And after that, I just went home. Everybody went to like a party somewhere. Obviously, you couldn't really party like in the club because there was like, we didn't even, I think we had a graduation dinner like in August. But at that time in June, not really. And I think I graduated, went home and slept. And everybody always said this to me, that when you graduate, it's the best day of your life. Next day you wake up and you're like, okay, we did this thing. What next? It's like when you're trying to hit this goal and then you do, and then life happens, and you're like, okay, now that we hit that, what next? And I think it was that kind of emptiness. So anyway, 2 days after my graduation, I got, the acceptance from CSC, Chinese Government Scholarship. Honestly, not to toot my own horn, it's one of the most prestigious awards in China. Fully funded scholarship, man. I got my master's for free. I think I can say that. You also get a stipend, and if you leave off campus, you also get a little bit of your rent, maybe teeny tiny bit, like 700 kwai. Still, it's a lot. On a student budget, it's a lot. And so I remember when I decided to do my master's, there's a lot more stories. And I think if you're doing 1,000 videos, then yeah, we're probably going to get there. But it was very, let me see. It was very interesting because I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to feel the same way I do when I get my master's. I want to know what I want to do with my life, which then led me to personal development. Now, does that answer why I stayed in China? I don't think so. I actually don't think so. But I think that moment of realizing, maybe I could build something here. It was just that curiosity. Now that I'm stuck, now there is COVID, now that I have a master's to do, I'm not just going to be a student. I think, like I was trying to say before I interrupted my own thoughts, at that time in 2019, I stopped seeing myself as just a student. I began seeing myself as a model too. And so I'd go to modeling spaces and be like, so what do you do? I'm like, well, I'm a model. Oh, and I'm just getting my undergrad in aeronautical engineering. I never said, oh, I'm a student. I'm an international student. That just came up like, oh, by the way, I do study. Like, you know how someone says, oh, I do this and I have a side hustle? Like school is like my side thing, I was like, oh, yeah, came to school, passed, and of course got my master's, which took a lot longer. It took me down like twice the time it's supposed to take you to get your master's. And at the same time, I'm glad it did because it gave me the time. It gave me the gift of time to figure out what it is I wanted. And almost 10 years later, I'm on the right path. And if you like, what path are you on right now? Keep watching and keep following. Today was a very different kind of video. I don't ever pause my videos. I didn't actually. It was accidental, and I realized my phone was at 2%. It wasn't gonna hold. And with my battery, I could not charge my phone and record at the same time. But that was a very therapeutic video. A lot of blabbering, a lot of, stories in between. As a speaker, advocate, coach, that's terrible. You don't talk about 10 things at once because you lose your audience. But because this is my platform, my house, my channel, guys, it wouldn't be possible without you guys. But I'm okay with being imperfect in this season of my life. I have chapatis to make. I'm very excited about that. Honestly, talking to my mom inspired me to make chapatis today. I was gonna wash off my makeup, take a nap until 5 o'clock, get dinner, get a workout done, shower, and go to bed. But I'll make 10 chapatis, maybe 5. Doesn't matter. Anyway, guys, thank you again for being on this journey with me. If it's your first time here, no, for all my OG audiences, my regular schmegular people, I see you. I do. I really do. I believe in you, yes. And I'm sending you all my love. And I don't say that because I lock away to close my videos, but because I do. And in case no one has told you that lately, I hope hearing this chick tell you she believes in you, I hope you take that with you. Because I do. I don't have to know you personally, but I believe in you. And I'm sending you all my love. Now, if it's your first time here, you're like, oh my gosh, this was such a great video. Thank you, by the way. If that's you, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. My name's Phoebe with the head wraps. And I post videos on YouTube every single day for the last 118 days, except for day 9. I think at some point we'll have to stop saying except for day 9, but it's a nice tagline, right? Except for day 9. Day 9, like, if I had stopped at day 9, I probably would have never started again. So I'm glad I just kept going. So yeah. And if you guys would like more videos with a head wrap or while doing a head wrap, drop it in chat for me, okay? All right, guys, I will see you on the next one. And have a beautiful day or night, depending on when you see this. All right, ciao, Bella, guys. Mwah. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. recording A. See you tomorrow.